Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends. I'm your host, Barnabas Tone.
And this is me, your co-host, Frederick Allen Seto.
And it's time for
the Fans vs. ACs Challenge.
And racing today,
It's Group 2. For Team Cartunes, it's the 1995 Ferrari F50. Driven by his daughter, Sassy Vee. She could be the one to watch because not only is it her first time racing, it's her first time driving. For the Scrapyard, it's the 2018 Bentley GT3. Driven by Mean Nino Eddie. Ed drives the big rig that sits in Clunker Canyon.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are at the Guillotine Gate with Group 2. This is the last group in our tournament, and they were lucky enough to get a bye into round 2.
the race hasn't even started, and I already think this is going to be a wild one. I mean, we have team captain Carlos's own daughter racing, and what's crazy is she isn't even old enough to drive, but racing is in her blood. Her dad is team captain, and her grandfather is a retired rally driver with a turn on our track named after him. Yes, Carmine Corner is named after the late Crazy Carmine.
Don't start. Fans, there have been no confirmed deaths during this tournament. All racers are considered off track until further notice. But moving on, let's talk about the driver representing Team Scrapyard. It's none other than Mean Nino Eddie. Eddie drives the big rig here at the Scrapyard. When it's not hauling cars around, it's part of the Scrapyard track parked right there in Clunker Canyon.
Yeah, and before he worked at the scrapyard, he almost drove a garbage truck, but it was an offer he couldn't refuse. Get it? Refuse? Means garbage, Barry.
Yes, that joke does mean garbage. Just start the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go!
Sassy Vee leads.
Eddie misses the block.
Eddie cuts in hard.
Eddie, big lead.
Sassy Vee stalls out.
Eddie across the line and into the safety rocks. Well, Barry, for her first time ever behind the wheel, Sassy Vee takes it off the line.
That's right, Al, but Eddie being the more experienced driver, he comes in with a subtle push into the wall, and by the time they're in the bottleneck, he has the lead.
Right, Barry, but what I don't understand is why with such a big lead would he try to block? He almost blew the whole heat right there. I mean, look at that. He got on 2 wheels. That exit of the bottleneck is not a place you want to take chances. One mistake there and it could be a whole world of hurt.
Well, that won't apply to Eddie. He's used to driving a big rig, so I'm sure he can throw that Bentley around like it's a go-kart. I mean, look at the way he blocks Sassy Vee all the way through Carmine Corner. Then, once he clears it, he does a little trip for style and tears down Clunker Canyon.
I think Eddie's block might have actually done some mechanical damage to Sassy Vee's car because Eddie's lead just kept getting bigger and bigger, and she finally pulled off to the side. Like I said, racing is in her blood, and that's a pretty pro move for a beginner. She sees something's wrong with her car, and it's only heat 1. She's not going to take any chances further damaging her car this early in the race.
Right, Al, this kid has moxie, but our boy Eddie is no slouch either. He held onto that lead and crossed the line all alone.
Right, but I'm not liking this trend amongst the scrapyard drivers where they just crash for no reason and end up blowing their leads. Go back and watch Nell 1's race if you don't know what I'm talking about.
But do that after this race. Right now, we want you to watch these results.
Mean Nino Eddie shows how he's got his name by not taking it easy on that first-timer Sassy Vee. But let's see if the new kid on the block can shake things up now that she's gotten her first race under her belt.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Heat 2. The kid first-time driver versus the seasoned veteran truck driver. It's like David versus Goliath.
Well, Al, the only thing Sassy Vee has going in her favor is Mean Nino Eddie is not really a racer. He's a truck driver. I mean 100% a truck driver. He's such a truck driver when he goes to the movies, he only stays for the trailers. Get it? Movie? Trailers?
That joke should be rated R for revolting.
3, 2, 1, go!
Eddie leads.
Sassy blocks.
Oh
Oh no, not again!
Eddie's still in it.
No! He crashes into the metal barrier!
Let's see what went wrong in that replay. Look here, Al, you can see Mean Nino goes wide. I think he was trying to avoid contact and just go for the win and get this race over with quick.
Right, Barry, but Sassy Vee knows she can't let that happen if she wants to stay in it. And she comes in for the block right at the opening of the bottleneck like a pro.
But she tries going for a second block at the end of the bottleneck, and that's when things go horribly wrong. She misses that block completely and almost goes off track.
You mean almost becomes the latest victim of Carmine Corner? I keep saying that curve is haunted, and now I really believe it. Look at her car, Barry. How did it not fall over? The ghost of Crazy Carmine. That's how.
Al, for the last time, Crazy Carmine is not a ghost or a spirit. But someone who is not in a happy spirit is the police chief, because in all that commotion, Mean Nino Eddie gets loose and uses both police cars to stay on track.
And he struggles the whole way through. Look how hard he's fighting the understeer at the end of that turn.
And unfortunately, he can never regain control, and he's swirly all the way through Clunker Canyon, and he smacks into the metal barrier of the final straight, and his car stalls out.
I know there was a lot going on in this heat, but I don't like this trend of members of Team Scrapyard always blowing their leads when they're all alone. I don't know if it's bad luck or if they're just trying to keep things exciting, but I'd prefer for them to just get out there and win.
Well, Al, unfortunately, no one won this heat, so it's a big red X for both racers.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the guillotine gate for the start of Heat 3. Sassy Vee needs a win here to stay alive. Even if Eddie crashes again, his Heat 1 win is all he needs to advance.
Hopefully Eddie can bring it home. And speaking of homes, did you know Eddie's home is 10 feet wide by 150 feet long?
What?
Because he likes long hauls. Get it? Long haul? That's a trucker term.
Auditions. That's broadcast terminology for what we'll be having if you don't get better jokes.
3, 2, 1, go!
Sassy Vee takes the lead.
Eddie tries to block.
Sassy Vee pulls ahead.
Eddie can't catch up.
Sassy Vee wins.
She did it! The rookie stays alive! Well, Barry, Sassy Vee must have had your pre-race commentary playing on the radio because you said she needed a win and she just delivered. Look at the way she pulls out of the guillotine.
She keeps him against the wall all the way down the downhill, then delivers an expert-level block on the way out of the bottleneck.
And that's all she needed to set up her lead for the rest of the race. By the time she's out of Carmine Corner, she has at least a full car's length lead.
And it keeps growing. But not giving up, Eddie opens it up on the final straight and gets back within 1 car length as Sassy Vee crosses the line.
Yeah, I think Mean Nino just ran out of track. Maybe if the scrapyard was a little longer, he could have caught up.
Well, I'll tell you who did catch up. Sassy Vee with a beautiful, clean win.
From beautiful to ugly, because now we're in... Sudden death. I love this part. The pressure is on and the races get so much more intense. The contestants know the first one to win moves on, so there is no holding back.
Right, and that desperation for a win leads to big risks and even bigger action. They'll try winning any way possible. Forward, upside down, or in reverse.
Speaking of reverse, do you know Eddie just doesn't drive trucks? He has another job where he just parks them.
Really?
Yeah, it's his backup job. Get it? Because he backs them up?
Al, you should put your mouth in park and throw away the key.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
They connect hard.
Sassy Vee loses it.
Eddie crashes, blowing his lead again.
This is just the unexpectedness I was talking about. Let's break it all down.
Even though Eddie had the lead by a bumper, Sassy Vee still manages to hold on and try for a block.
And seeing that it does next to nothing, she goes wide in the bottleneck and tries to block Mean Nino again on his way out.
And proving they don't call him Mean Nino for nothing, he he really gets mean and blocks Sassy Vee to the inside field of Carmine Corner.
And while she does a good job avoiding the safety vehicle, she just can't hold on and crashes into the midfield.
And again, Wild Bob didn't even get the yellow jacket into the air.
I didn't need to. Look at that girl. She did an aerial 360 and landed on all fours. She knew her chances were done, so she drove herself back up to the guillotine. Why, she's just itching to race again and give that Eddie some payback. I'm sure that move made her pappy proud.
Well, who shouldn't be proud is Mean Nino. I mean, he delivered an awesome block and then completely blows it. Look how hard he crashed into the camera in Clunker Canyon. This guy knows he works here, right? If he wrecks our equipment, it's coming out of his own check. Seriously, I haven't seen a lead blown this bad since Nell won in the last race.
Let's not worry about the last race, Al. Let's take a look at this one. Well, a huge infield crash and another against our tower camera made the first round of sudden death come to a dead end. Let's hope we've gotten all the crashing out of the way and someone can put a win on the scorecard.
Sudden death.
Well, I'm looking forward to this one. Usually the racers get towed back up to the gate and do some pre-race checks, but not Sassy Vee. She drove right back up to her starting position and didn't even shut off her car. Let's hope she still has enough gas to make it across the line.
I'm sure Wild Wheatmo checked that car up and down before the race. If he's letting his daughter get right on the line, it's because he knows that car can take it.
Hopefully Mean Nino Eddie can say the same about his Bentley. He hit that camera tower pretty hard, because if he breaks down, what is he gonna do? He drives the big rig for the scrapyard. Will he have to tow his own car? Will he charge himself for towing? How will that even work?
He'll get overtime.
What? He gets overtime too? Am I the only one around here who doesn't get overtime? Is this some kind of joke?
Good one, Al. You finally found a fun one.
No, wait, I'm not kidding. Why don't I get overtime?
Stop it, Al. Stop it. You're killing me. I'm trying to be professional. Please, no more. Let me show some decorum. The countdown is starting.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
Eddie goes for the block.
Oh,
Whoa, did you see that? Is he okay?
Sassy Vee pulled over.
Let's just get to the replay and find out if everyone is okay. Wow, I know things go wild during sudden death, but this one might have gotten too wild even for me. I mean, it starts out simple enough. They come down the downhill like any other regular old race. But then in the bottleneck, we go from a racing channel to a supercar fails video.
Eddie tries to block, but it's right at the exit ramp of the bottleneck. And Sassy Vee actually accelerates into the block, causing her car to go under Mean Nino's Bentley.
Yeah, and while she goes under, Eddie goes over. Way, way, way over. And again, the safety crew didn't even budge.
We didn't need to. We could see it from here and it was still okay.
It's still okay? Don't you mean he's still okay? As in, Mean Nino Eddie is okay?
But Mean Nino, who's worried about him? What have I been saying this whole tournament is our rule?
Not our property, not our problem.
Exactly.
But Mean Nino did crash on our property.
Wrong. He crashed into our property. That there championship trophy is solid gold. It's the most expensive purchase ever made by the scrapyard. If that thing broke, Mr. Crane would have fired all of us. Plus, the bear wouldn't have been too happy about it neither. And all you folks go out there and watch the grand championship if you don't know why he's called the bear. Here's a hint. I made it up. But anyway, don't worry about the trophy. Me and the safety crew will spit shine it after the race and make some nice overtime too.
Wait, you guys get overtime too? I need an agent.
Al, don't do this again. Please let me finish. After Eddie crashed, and even though he had sent her into the infield, Sassy Vee still pulled over to end the heat so Eddie could be attended to. She may be only a rookie, but she sure knows how to act like a champion. And with yet another even bigger infield crash, this is the second dead-end heat. Let's hope Eddie's car is still in good enough shape to make it through another heat.
Sudden death.
Sudden death, Heat 3. We've never gone this far. Sassy Vee on your left, me, Nino, Eddie on your right. They both had some rough accidents and sudden death.
Yes, Al, but there's no question that Eddie's crash was much more severe. Plus, he had to tow his own car back up to the guillotine gate.
True, but Eddie is used to crashing. He once flipped his truck while hauling a load of tennis equipment.
Really?
Yes, it made quite the racket. Gotcha! Get it? Tennis racket? Racket?
Al, that joke is out of bounds.
3, 2, 1, go!
Eddie leads.
Whoa, what a block!
It's all over for Eddie.
Sassy Vee all alone.
And across the line, the rookie has done it.
With the help of some of those safety rocks. Wow, I really thought me Nino was gonna take it here. He edged out the lead down the downhill and he held onto it.
But halfway through the bottleneck, Sassy Vee swings out and cuts in hard for a race-ending block.
You can see that Eddie tried to steer out of it, but he had no hope. That bit of uneven track by the divider just spelled certain doom for me Nino Eddie, Barry.
That's right, Al. And now the Scrapyard fans can see just how important those pre-race checks really are. Had this been a regular heat, that would have been taken care of. But in sudden death, the track condition is what it is.
I know, that was so awesome. I mean, not for me Nino, obviously, but for not knowing what to expect, this kind of stuff keeps me at the edge of my seat.
And speaking of, I'm sure Wild Wheatmo was on the edge of his seat once he saw his daughter was all alone and tearing down the center of the track.
Right. Only at the end of the final straight does she get a little loose and start hugging the wall. And luckily, the safety rocks in the tree did their job and kept her safe as she crossed the line.
I still don't understand why we use rocks and trees instead of something like rubber tires.
What do you think this is, Barry? The Nürburgring? You think we have that kind of budget? We can't afford safety tires because everyone around here, except me obviously, is getting paid overtime.
And speaking of overtime, Sassy Vee sure put in a lot of it to get tonight's win. But after 6 total heats, it paid off. She'll be moving on to race 2 of the semifinals. Not bad for her first time behind the wheel.
And our next race will feature another member of Team Cartunes that's a first time behind the wheel timer. Sweet Bay in the Thunderbird, facing Stock Market Mike in the Auto. Leave a comment on who you think will win.
Or please do me a favor and leave some stock market jokes that Al can put in his script, because I can't take any more of his originals. And until then, this is Barnabas Tone saying good night.
Hey, my jokes are great. Right, fans? Anyway, this is Al signing off and saying, I hope you'll join us again back here at the Scrapyard, but until then, thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so, give us a like, and please subscribe to the Scrapyard so you never miss a race.
And follow us on Instagram and Facebook for even more Scrapyard Diecast Racing action. So please join us next time for the next installment of
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.